800,000 lipstick caps like these little guys, 0 landfills. Here's what Johnson & Johnson taught me about real branding. In 2013, I stood in front of 800,000 lipstick caps that Johnson & Johnson refused to throw away. Not one single cap would go into a landfill. What happened next changed everything I thought I knew about branding, and it had nothing to do with what was on their walls. Most companies think culture happens when you put inspiring quotes in frames and you hang your logo on the wall. I'm going to show you why that's backwards and what actually creates the kind of workplace that wins top talent in the first 5 seconds. I'm one of the partners of 71 Visuals, and for over 50 years we've evolved from color separations and offset printing into a leading brand design and build firm specializing in office environments. I manage the entire process from design through installation. I've been fortunate enough to have a front row seat watching world-class brand teams build culture. I've also been able to see what can sometimes just turn out to be expensive decoration. Here's what I know. You can design the most beautiful office in the world, but if your people don't match what you're trying to accomplish, the brand breaks. For branding to truly work and have purpose in your space, you need to reflect the true culture of the organization and who you actually are. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 projects that help prove this. We'll start with those 800,000 lipstick caps and what a top-tier branding team at Johnson & Johnson taught me about turning environmental graphics into actual lived values. I'll then show you the exact framework we use to build culture-first workplaces. I'll even include the controversial decision we made at 71 Visuals that had an incredible transformation with our team. The last thing we're going to talk about is why the first 5 seconds matter more than your entire office tour. But first, let me tell you what happened when Johnson & Johnson's brand team came back after seeing that first lipstick wall installation. It was around 2013. I was brought in as an expert fabricator to Johnson & Johnson's internal branding team. Special shout out to 2 very important people, Mr. Tyson Thorne, Mr. Michael Mara. They were part of this elite brand team that I was a part of. They had a sustainability problem to deal with. It was 800,000 lipstick caps from a discontinued line. Their core value meant not one single cap can go into a landfill. The brand team had an idea. They said basically, let's repurpose these into a signature Johnson & Johnson logo. My job was to figure out how to actually make it real. So we designed a socket panel system that would accept each lipstick case. Looks a lot like this. This was a prototype I made back then. So a small drop of paint would go inside the cap like this, and it would plug into this socket panel and make this wall exhibit. At the end, it would show this Johnson & Johnson logo, bold colored, bold red on the white background. We used 70,000 caps initially for that first install. We installed it over a holiday break, and the entire office was able to come back from the break and got to experience this wall and its story. But here's what changed everything for me. The brand team, and these are the very best in the business, they love the wall. They loved the way it executed. The final outcome was great, but they weren't satisfied. They weren't really fulfilled. They wanted more from the project. So our post-install roundtable discussion started to get pretty exciting. They came to the conclusion of, let's find a way to get the team involved with this wall. They decided to invite the parents at J&J to bring their kids to the office and help paint the lipsticks. Then someone had an idea to turn the actual lipstick caps into a time capsule. Each child and parent would write on a piece of paper how they can save the earth. Things like, I'll shut the water off when I brush my teeth, those type of things. Those little pieces of paper were folded up, they were loaded into a lipstick capsule and plugged into the socket wall, and they would forever be embedded into the wall mural. We eventually implemented this concept across all the J&J facilities throughout the US. One even went overseas. They can still be seen in the lobby of J&J facilities today. This was the first time that I connected the fabricated graphic world to a meaningful purpose. I got to see the power of branding, not as decoration, but as an activation. The dedication to not throwing those lipsticks into a landfill was the core goal. Being in the front row seat to a team of incredible designers taught me something that I still carry to this day. Here's the lesson. A company's core value, when done correctly, will shape your entire office culture, not because you posted them on the wall. Johnson & Johnson didn't declare sustainability. They actually activated it. They turned a logistical problem into employee engagement, into a family experience, into a legacy installation that still tells a story a decade later. The wall wasn't the brand. The behavior was the brand. The wall just made it visible. We fired people based on core values. If your core values are just posters, save your money. Here's what we did instead and why some people had to go. We scored every team member on our core values. Anyone with a low score needed to find another place to work. Let me be clear. Posting core values on your walls does nothing if they're not lived. For us, we've seen amazing results. We've seen amazing results from our values because it's not without full commitment to the process. We went through a journey with our entire team. Started with a sheet of paper. It had about 100 typical core values on it for inspiration. Each person on our team got to circle 6 values that they personally aligned with. We tallied the results and we found 20 standout values that were common. Then we pared them down even further until we got to our final 6. Once that was accomplished, that's when the hard part actually happened. We had to evaluate each and every team member on our core values, and we gave each one of them a score. Anyone with a low score needed to find another place to work. Chick-fil-A doesn't win because of chicken, and your office doesn't win because of pretty design. Chick-fil-A's secret isn't the chicken. It's that they've turned the employees into their brand. Look at Chick-fil-A as an example. Their brand connects to their employees like nothing I've ever seen before in the fast food industry. They hire for attitude and they train for skill. They turn employees into the brand. They train the right people so the behaviors you see and feel at any of their stores it's like muscle memory. They make the experience memorable, and it's not because of the chicken. What's memorable was how easy it felt, how nice you were treated, how they did what they said they were gonna do. The real takeaway is this has nothing to do with what's on the walls. You can design a beautiful environment, but if the people don't match it, the brand breaks. If you feel like you have to declare your culture in the office, it's probably not gonna work very well. If you're just checking a box with some graphics on the wall and adding some generic quotes, you're not really gonna see any value from this branding tactic. I would just say save your money. Building a culture is on another level. The mindset you should have when approaching what to do in your office should be like, how does my office function? How does my team interact with each other? This thought process is higher level thinking on how to shift from just decoration to activation. Core values can go stale fast. Here's a system we built to help keep them top of mind awareness, and why there's actually sneakers hanging on our wall. We give out sneakers when team members get recognized for all 6 of our core values. They go on our Hall of Fame wall forever. Here's why this is so much more effective than posters on the wall. One of the best things we did was address how we would keep our core values at top of mind awareness so they don't become stale. We implemented something called Catch the Good. It's a way for our team members to give shout outs and show appreciation for each other. They nominate one another, they call out what core values they demonstrated in the process. We even went one step further and we created something called the Hall of Fame wall. So if you get recognized for all 6 of our core values, you're in a pair of sneakers. We have a throwback to the 70s where people would throw the sneakers over a phone line cable. Your sneakers have your name on it, they will live on our wall forever. It's definitely a lot of fun for the team, but the important thing is it keeps people engaged in our core values throughout the year. Notice what this actually is. It's a system that activates behavior. It's not a poster. It's not a motivational quote. It's peer recognition tied to real actions, tied to a visual permanent reward. The sneakers on the wall aren't the culture. The ritual of recognizing each other is the culture. The sneakers just make it visible. Now, if you're the director of the brand or workplace experience and you're thinking, okay, I get it, but how do I actually execute this without coordinating 5 different vendors and losing my mind in the process? Well, that's exactly what we do. We manage the entire process from design through installation. We help clients translate their brand into their physical space that activates culture, not just declare it. So if you want to talk through your specific project, the link is in the description. But before you do that, let me show you one more project that proves why first 5 seconds matter more than anything else. You have 5 seconds to win or lose top talent. Here's how a 3rd-generation builder turned their new headquarters into an ultimate competitive advantage. Banker Construction operated out of a converted house for decades. When they relocated, we turned their new headquarters into a recruiting weapon. You could feel it in the first 5 seconds you walked in. They had a strong sense of core values in the field, but they wanted the office to reflect their culture. Michael, the owner, was really into the process and knew how this would help his business move forward. We focused a lot on the history. There was tons of stories to tell throughout the space. Safety was also pretty important. Wanted to make sure that the office team understood how much we cared about that message. But what was most important is that this space made his team feel deserved. Coming from a converted house, he wanted to make sure that his team felt comfortable, could do great work during the day, and hopefully couldn't wait to come back tomorrow. This office is absolutely incredible, and you can tell from the first second you walk into the space. They're a great company doing great work together. Here's the lesson. The first 5 seconds in your office either win or lose top talent. When a candidate walks in, they're forming an opinion before anyone says a word. Space either reinforces the story you told them in the interview or it contradicts it. Geiger Construction didn't need to declare they were a great company. The space already proved it. Your office doesn't have to reflect what you sell. It should reflect who your people are. We did a project one time in Boulder, Colorado. It was for a tech company. They were curious about how to brand their space. We met with their team, and then we discovered that 80% of the employees all mountain bike. They rode their bikes to work. They would get adventurous on the weekends and do trips. So we decided to use this as the inspiration for their office space. We made a bike room that had mountain bike themes, and we had bike storage built into the landscape of the design. We used exploded bike parts as artwork for the walls. We even did tire tracks as glass distraction film. The conference rooms were named after top-rated bike destinations. The thing is, the brand execution had nothing to do with the product they made. It had everything to do with the culture of Boulder, Colorado. They would win over any new recruit looking to join the company within the first 5 seconds of entering the space. You couldn't help but feel the culture and want to be a part of it. Building culture in your office isn't about what you sell. It's about who's in the area, who's in the space. What type of messaging should I be using? How does my team interact with each other? The Boulder Bike Room worked because it reflected the people, not the product. That's the difference between just a branded office and a culture-forward office. I'll be honest, most companies are just decorating. They're not thinking about building culture. Here's how to tell the difference. If the client asked for a culture-forward office and their choices don't support that, it's important to question them. I might say something like, well, you said you wanted a collaborative workplace and people first. Can we walk through how this choice supports that? Sometimes you need to do mock-ups, side-by-side comparisons, help clients see the difference. Visuals can help. Sometimes they help better than words. If you have to declare your culture in the office, that's probably not going to work very well. If you're checking a box of some graphics on the walls and adding some generic quotes, then you're not going to see any real value from this branding tactic. And I would say, save your money. Here's the test. Does this activate behavior or does it just look nice? The Johnson & Johnson lipstick wall activated behavior. It also looked nice, but the kids were writing commitments, families were coming to the office, employees understanding the core value through the participation. The Geiger Construction headquarters activated behavior also. The team felt deserved, which changed how they showed up to work. Okay, so let's recap what we covered. Number one, Johnson & Johnson taught me that branding isn't what you put on walls, it's what you get people to do. 800,000 lipstick caps became a time capsule because they activated employee behavior. Number two, we fired people based on core values, and it transformed our team immensely. You can design a beautiful office space, but if the people don't match it, the brand breaks. Number three, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A doesn't win because of the chicken. They hire for attitude. They train for skill. They turn employees into the brand. Your office should do the same. Number four, core values go stale without systems. Things like Catch the Good and the Hall of Fame sneaker wall, they keep the values of top of mind awareness. Number five, Geiger Construction proved that you have 5 seconds to win or lose talent. That space either reinforces your story or it contradicts it. Number six, the Boulder Bike Room that showed your office should reflect who your people are, not just what you sell. And number seven, if you're decorating instead of building culture, you're wasting your money. The test is simple. Does this activate behavior or does it just look nice? If this video shifted how you think about your space, that's a starting point. Now that you understand the difference between decorating and real branding, the question is, what do you do with this information? If you want to talk through how to bring this into your own space, reach out. We'll walk through what you have. We'll show you what we're seeing. We'll give you an honest picture of where the gaps are and how we can close them together. And if this video helped you think differently, please subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.